He offered water to a stranger, not knowing she was the exiled princess of the stars. The heat off the landing pad could melt steel. Jax Corwin felt it through the soles of his boots as he descended the ramp of his battered freighter, the kind of heat that made you question every decision that led you to this particular circle of hell. Dust hung in the air like a curse, turning the twin suns into angry orange smears above the sprawl of Outpost Kesh. 3 days since the Corvathi cartel had confiscated his cargo, his payment, and damn near his ship, his canteen hung heavy at his hip, half full, maybe less. The market district stretched before him, a maze of makeshift stalls and desperate vendors. Jax moved through it with the economical gait of someone conserving energy and water. That's when he saw her. She was crumpled against a cargo container in the thin slice of shade it provided, hood pulled low despite the heat. One hand pressed against the metal as if it was the only thing keeping her upright. Jax's feet changed direction before his brain fully engaged. Old instincts. He crouched beside her, close enough to see the tremor in her shoulders. "Hey," he said. She flinched, and he caught a glimpse beneath the hood, skin too pale, lips cracked and bleeding. "When's the last time you had water?" Her head moved, might have been a shake. Jax unclipped his canteen. The weight of it against his palm represented every choice he'd have to make in the next 72 hours. He held it out anyway. "Here." Her hand emerged from beneath the rough fabric of her cloak, fingers trembling as they wrapped around the canteen. She lifted it with both hands. She drank. The hood slipped back. Jax's breath caught. Copper hair cascaded past her shoulders, and rising from it were elegant fox-like ears, their fur catching the light like spun metal. Her eyes opened as she lowered the canteen, amber with vertical pupils that fixed on him with sudden, terrible focus. She pressed the canteen back into his hands. Her fingers were shaking harder now. "No," she whispered, the word carrying an accent he couldn't place. "You should not have." The air between them rippled. Jax felt it in his chest, a pull like gravity shifting. His heartbeat thundered in his ears, but beneath it, impossible, he felt another rhythm. Hers. What the hell was that? She rose in one fluid motion. The hood fell away completely. Behind her, a bushy tail the same copper shade as her hair. "You have bound us," she said, and her hand went to his wrist. The touch sent electricity racing up his arm. "The water you offered freely in my time of need, I accepted." Her grip tightened. Those amber eyes bored into him. "I am Aelira Soltari, and you have just married me by the oldest laws of my people." That's when the shooting started. The energy bolt punched through the cargo container where Aelira's head had been a second before. She moved like liquid, pulling him down and rolling them both behind a stack of shipping crates. 3 more bolts followed. "Stay down," Jax growled, already reaching for the pistol at his hip. "They are here for me," Aelira said. 3 shooters, rooftop, 10 o'clock, 2 more flanking from the east. Jax risked a glance. She was right. "Who the hell are you, really?" "I told you, and now they will kill us both." Another volley tore through their cover. Jax fired back. 2 quick shots. "My ship, Bay 7, can you run?" Aelira's lips pulled back from her teeth. Her canines were sharp. "Can you keep up?" They broke from cover together. Jax laid down suppressing fire while Aelira moved. Fast didn't cover it. She flowed between obstacles, her movements predatory and precise. When one of the armored figures got too close, she spun inside his guard and struck twice. The man went down hard. They made it to the docking bay with energy bolts chewing up the ground behind them. Jax slapped the control panel, and his ship's cargo ramp groaned down. "Move!" Aelira was up the ramp before him, and Jax felt that strange awareness again. He knew exactly where she was without looking. The cargo bay door sealed. Jax was already sprinting for the cockpit. "Rick, start the pre-flight!" "Oh good, we're fleeing for our lives again," the ship's AI responded. Jax threw himself into the pilot's seat. The freighter's engines coughed to life. Through the viewport, armored figures rushed the bay. "Aelira, strap in." He didn't see her comply, but he felt the moment she secured herself in the co-pilot's chair. The engines hit full burn. Jax yanked the controls and the freighter lurched skyward. Something exploded behind them, and then they were through the atmosphere. Behind them, 2 pursuit craft were launching. "Hyperdrive," he barked. "Needs 90 seconds, Rick replied. "Those patrol ships will be in firing range in 60. Jax pushed the freighter hard, diving toward the nearest moon. The patrol ships followed. He juked left, rolled right. 60 seconds. The moon's surface rushed up to meet them. 45. Energy bolt streaked past. 30. He threaded the freighter through a canyon barely wide enough. The hyperdrive chimed ready. Jax pulled up hard and slammed his palm down on the hyperspace control. The stars stretched, the universe folded, and they were gone. For a long moment, the only sound was their breathing. Jax's hands were locked on the controls. Slowly, he forced himself to relax. "Rick, damage report. Port stabilizer is shot. We're down to 60% on rear shields." "But we're flying." Jax swiveled his chair to face Aelira. Up close, she was striking. High cheekbones, delicate nose, lips that looked soft. The copper ears atop her head swiveled toward him. "All right," he said. "Start talking. Who are you? What did you do to me, and why are people trying to kill us?" Aelira unfastened her cloak. Beneath it, she wore form-fitting combat gear. Around her neck was a mark that looked burned into her skin, geometric and intricate. "I am Aelira Vaz Soltari," she repeated. "First daughter of Emperor Saren Vaz Soltari, heir to the Andari Empire." She paused, her tail curling around the chair. "I was exiled 6 months ago, branded with the mark of shame. Those men were assassins, sent to ensure I never return." Jax processed that, Princess. "Exiled royalty? And the thing with the water?" "Among my people, water is sacred. To share water when you yourself are in need is the highest honor. To accept such a gift creates a bond." Her hand went to her chest. "I can feel you here, your pulse, your presence." "That's insane. For the Andari, it is law older than our recorded history. You offered me life when you yourself had little to spare. I accepted. We are bound now." Jax stood, paced the narrow cockpit. "So what, we're married, just like that?" "By Andari law, yes. Bonded pairs are sacred, unbreakable." Her voice softened. "I did not intend this, but the bond is formed now. To sever it would kill us both." He stopped. "Kill us?" "The bond is biological. 2 bonded Andari share resources, awareness, strength." She met his eyes. "You are human. I do not know how it will affect you, but for me, breaking the bond means death within days." Jax felt the walls closing in. This woman had just painted a target on his back and told him there was no way out. But beneath the anger, he felt that strange awareness, her heartbeat, steady and strong. And when he looked at her, really looked, he saw exhaustion in the set of her shoulders, fear carefully controlled behind those amber eyes. She hadn't asked for this either. "Where were you trying to go?" he asked finally. "To find passage off-world. I have allies, a few who remain loyal. There is a safe world, 3 systems from here." She trailed off. "It does not matter now. You are caught in this with me. I am sorry." Jax ran a hand through his hair. He needed a shower, food, sleep. Instead, he had an alien princess, a bond he didn't understand, and assassins on his tail. "These allies of yours," Jax said. "They have resources? Weapons?" Aelira's ears perked forward. "Yes, if we can reach them, they can protect us both." "Then I guess we're going to find them." He dropped back into the pilot's seat. "Because I'm not dying today." She was quiet for a moment. "Thank you, Jax Corwin." He glanced at her. "Don't thank me yet." He turned back to the console. "Rick, plot a course." "Already on it." Aelira stood, moved toward the cargo bay. At the threshold, she paused. "The bond will grow stronger. You will feel more of me, and I more of you." "How much stronger?" Her tail swished once. "I do not know. There has never been a human bonded to an Andari before." She disappeared into the ship's interior, leaving Jax alone with the stars and the steady double-time rhythm in his chest. Jax found her in the cargo hold an hour later, methodically checking the seals on the exterior hatches. She'd removed her outer layer of combat gear, leaving her in a sleeveless undershirt that revealed lean muscle and copper-toned skin. Her tail moved in slow arcs as she worked. "The port airlock has a microfracture," she said. "Nothing critical, but it will need repair." "You know ships?" "I know survival." She straightened, and he caught the slight wince she tried to hide. Jax leaned against a support beam. The bond hummed between them, a constant awareness that made his skin prickle. He could sense her exhaustion now. "You're hurt." Her hand went instinctively to her left side. A parting gift from the assassin's glancing shot. "Let me see." She held his gaze, then lifted the edge of her shirt. The burn wound across her ribs was ugly, the surrounding skin purple-black. Jax's jaw tightened. Medical bay. The kit was in a cabinet near his quarters. Aelira perched on the fold-down bench while he rummaged through supplies. "You were military," she said. "What gave it away?" "The way you move, the scars." Jax found the antiseptic and regenerative gel. He turned to find her studying the marks on his forearms, plasma burns, blade cuts. "Yeah, I was military long time ago." "What happened?" "I stopped following stupid orders." He knelt in front of her. "This is gonna hurt." Her breath hissed through her teeth as he applied the solution. Her fingers gripped the bench, knuckles pale. This close he could smell her, something sharp and clean mixed with something warmer. "You were saying," he asked, a slight smile tugging at his mouth. "We do not complain about pain," she finished, voice strained. He applied the gel, watching it sink into the damaged tissue. "You should rest. Let this work." Aelira rose with him, and suddenly they were very close. The bond flared, that double heartbeat synchronizing for a moment. Her pupils dilated. "Jax," she said softly. He stepped back. "You can take my quarters. I'll bunk in the cockpit." "Thank you." She moved past him, and their shoulders brushed. The contact sent electricity through his nervous system. Sleep didn't come easy. Every time he closed his eyes, he felt her. The rhythm of her breathing as she slept. "You are experiencing sympathetic response," Rick said quietly. "The bond. Their bonding mechanism operates on both a chemical and quantum level." Jax must have dozed, because he woke to Aelira standing in the cockpit entrance, wrapped in one of his spare shirts. It hung loose on her smaller frame. Her hair was mussed from sleep. "Bad dreams?" he asked. She nodded, then moved to the co-pilot's chair. For a while, neither spoke. "Tell me about the exile," Jax said finally. Aelira's ears flattened slightly. "I refused a marriage, a political alliance my father arranged with Lord Verosch Kane." Her voice was flat. "My father was furious. My brother, Davik, convinced him that exile was mercy." "Your brother sounds like a real piece of work." "He is ambitious. The crown would pass to him if I were to die." She looked at him. "Which is why the assassins came. These allies you mentioned, can they protect you?" "Matriarch Sarah was my mother's advisor. She controls a small fleet. If we can reach her, she will shelter us." Aelira's tail wrapped around her legs. "But Davik has spies everywhere." "Then we'll be smart about it." Jax pulled up the navigation display. "Rick, can we approach from an unusual vector?" "I can plot a course through the Kairos belt. 6 hours longer, but harder to detect." "Do it." Aelira was studying him. "Why are you helping me? You could have abandoned me." "And let you die? Let us both die?" Jax shook his head. "Not my style." He met her gaze, and for a moment the bond opened fully. He felt her confusion, her fear, the carefully buried hope, and beneath it all, attraction. Jax looked away first. "Get some rest." She stood, paused at the threshold. In Andari culture, bonded pairs share everything: space, resources, warmth. Her ears tilted forward. "I merely want you to understand that for my people, what we are experiencing is natural." "We're not on your world." "No, but the bond does not care about human customs." The second day was harder. Jax woke with his heart racing, flooded with sensations that weren't his own. Desire. Need. He found Aelira in the cargo bay, running through combat drills. Her movements were liquid grace. She wore her combat gear again, sweat gleaming on her skin. She spun mid-form, caught him watching. "Join me?" They sparred. Jax learned she was faster, more flexible, but he had reach and strength. They adapted to each other, the bond making their movements flow together. She swept his leg. He caught her wrist. They ended up pressed together against the bulkhead, both breathing hard. Neither moved. "Your heart is racing," she whispered. "So is yours." Her hand was flat against his chest. His gripped her hip. The bond sang between them. "Aelira, I know." But she didn't step back. "I feel it too." Her fingers curled into his shirt. his thumb traced along her hip where fabric met skin. The proximity alarm shattered the moment. In the cockpit, the display showed multiple contacts dropping from hyperspace ahead of them. "Rick, report! 6 ships, military configuration, Andari signals." A pause. They knew exactly where to intercept us. Aelira appeared beside him, her face pale. "Davik, he found us." The comm crackled. A male voice, cold and precise. "Attention freighter shadows run. Stand down and prepare to be boarded." Jax's hands were already on the controls. "Rick, how long until we can jump?" 10 minutes. The lead ship fired. Jax jerked the controls into a dive. "Hold on." Aelira strapped in, her hands flying over the weapons console. "I have targeting lock." "Take the shot." Their turret spat energy back. One bolt clipped an enemy wing, but there were 5 more. "Shields at 40%, Rick announced. Jax flew like his life depended on it. Aelira fired with precision. Through it all, the bond, he felt her focus. They moved as one. "Hyperdrive ready." "Jump." Reality twisted. They leapt back into hyperspace. Jax slumped in his seat. Aelira was breathing hard. "They knew," she said. "They knew exactly where we would be." "Your allies, you contacted them?" "I sent an encrypted message. Only Matriarch Sarah has the codes." She stopped, "unless she was compromised." Jax pulled up the star charts. "Then we can't go to your safe world." "Where can we go? Davik controls half the Empire's military." Her voice cracked. "We are alone." He reached over, took her hand. "We're not dead yet, and we're not alone. We have each other." She looked at their joined hands, then up at him. "I have dragged you into my war." "Yeah, well," he squeezed her fingers. "I've been in worse wars." Despite everything, she laughed, a short, sharp sound. "Rick, find me somewhere to hide, somewhere Davik won't think to look." "The void reaches?" Abandoned mining stations would provide cover. "Those stations are crawling with raiders." "Yes, but Andari nobility avoids such places." Jax looked at Aelira. She nodded slowly. "Set the course." As hyperspace streamed past, their hands stayed joined, the bond humming with shared determination. The void reaches lived up to their name. Jax piloted through a graveyard of derelict mining stations and abandoned ships, their hulls stripped bare by scavengers. The darkness here felt absolute. "There," Aelira said, pointing to a station that still had atmosphere readings. "That one looks intact." "Intact enough for raiders to use as a base," Jax muttered, but he adjusted course. The docking clamps engaged with a groan. Jax grabbed his pistol. "Stay close," he said. "I know how to handle myself." Her tone was sharp, and he felt the spike of irritation through the bond. 2 days of running was wearing on them both. They moved through the station in tense silence. Emergency lighting flickered, casting shadows. Most sections were stripped bare, but they found a supply cache: water filtration tablets, protein bars, medical supplies. "Jackpot," Jax said. That's when he heard the footsteps. 6 figures emerged from the shadows, weapons drawn. Their leader, a woman with a scarred face and cybernetic arms, smiled without warmth. Well, fresh meat." Jax's hand went to his pistol. "I wouldn't," the woman said. "My boys are twitchy." "We don't want trouble," Jax said. "Just supplies and we'll be gone." "See, that's the problem. Those supplies, they're ours now." Her eyes slid to Aelira. "And your exotic friend, worth a lot to the right buyers." Aelira's stance shifted. "You will not take us," she said quietly. The woman laughed. "Honey, I've taken bigger prizes than—" Aelira moved, one moment standing still, the next inside the woman's guard, striking with devastating precision. The woman went down hard. The other 5 raiders opened fire. Jax dropped 2 with quick shots while Aelira flowed between the others. Her movements were brutal, strikes to throats, joints, pressure points. Within 30 seconds, all 6 were on the ground. Aelira stood over them, breathing hard, her pupils dilated to slits. Blood speckled her shirt. "We should go," Jax said. "Where there's 6, there's more." They made it back to the ship, but tension radiated off Aelira in waves. Once in hyperspace, she disappeared into the cargo hold without a word. He found her an hour later, sitting with her back against the bulkhead, knees drawn up. Her tail was wrapped tight, ears flat. "Hey," he said softly. She didn't look up. I lost control. I could have killed them. Jax sat beside her. They were going to kill us, or worse. That is not the point. Her voice was strained. The bond, it amplifies everything, my instincts, my aggression. I felt your fear, your anger, and it fed mine. You became what you needed to be to survive. You do not understand. She looked at him, eyes haunted. Andari are predators. Bonded pairs are dangerous because they share instincts. A bonded pair defending each other is nearly unstoppable, but the cost. She trailed off. We can lose ourselves to it. Jax reached out slowly, taking her hand. Then we'll figure it out together. She stared at their joined hands. I have never told you why I truly refused the marriage to Lord Verosch. You don't have to. I do. She took a breath. Verosch already had a bonded mate. She died under suspicious circumstances 2 years ago. He claimed illness, but there were rumors, whispers that he had found a way to sever the bond without dying himself, and that it killed her instead. Jax felt ice slide down his spine. Your father wanted you to marry a man who murdered his first wife? My father did not believe the rumors, or perhaps he did not care. Her fingers tightened on his. I refused because I knew that if I bonded with Verosch, I would die, just like she did. And they exiled you for it. My brother encouraged it. Davik has always been close with Verosch. They share the same ambitions. She met his eyes. That is what I learned in my exile. That is the real reason assassins hunt me. Not because I refused a marriage, but because I know the truth about what Verosch did, about what he and my brother planned to do. What plan? To remake the Andari Empire, to strip away the old laws, the sacred bonds. Her voice dropped. They killed my father, Jax. Not illness, not age. They murdered him when he finally started to believe my warnings about Verosch. The revelation hit like a physical blow. How long have you known? I suspected for months. I had proof 3 weeks ago. She pulled a small data chip from her pocket. This is why they cannot let me live. This is why they will never stop hunting us. Jax stared at the chip, smaller than his thumbnail, and worth more than both their lives. We need to get that to someone who matters. Matriarch Sarah. If she still lives, she commands enough loyalty to challenge Davik and Verosch. Aelira's ears drooped. But we cannot reach her. They know we will try. Jax stood, pulling her up with him. Then we don't go where they expect. We find another way. What other way? Your mother must have had other allies, other people who loved her. Aelira's eyes widened. Captain Torvin. He commanded my mother's personal guard before he retired. He lives in the border territories. Would Davik know about him? Perhaps not. Torvin has been retired for 15 years. He was always beneath notice to my brother. Then that's where we go. Jax squeezed her hand. We get the evidence to Torvin and he gets it to Sarah. Hope flickered across her face. It could work. She stepped closer, and her hand came up to rest against his chest. Why? She asked. Why do you keep helping me? The bond would not force you to risk this much. Maybe I'm just stupid. You are not stupid. Then maybe, he stopped, maybe I'm tired of running from everything. Maybe for once, I want to run towards something. Her other hand came up to frame his face, thumb tracing along his jaw. Jax Corwin, she murmured. What am I going to do with you? Probably get me killed. She smiled, the first real smile he'd seen from her. Probably. The moment stretched between them, charged with everything unspoken. Jax could feel her heartbeat through the bond. Her lips parted slightly, and he found himself leaning down. Incoming transmission, Rick announced. Audio only, heavily encrypted, source unknown. They broke apart, both breathing hard. They hurried to the cockpit. Play it, Jax said. Static, then a woman's voice, elderly and strained. Aelira vas Soltari. If you receive this message, know that I am compromised. They have taken me, but I am not broken. A pause. Seek the old fox. He remembers your mother's laugh. He will help you. Trust the bond, child. It is stronger than they know. The transmission ended. Aelira's hand went to her mouth. Sarah, they have Sarah. But she got a message to us. She told us to find Torvin, the old fox. Jax pulled up star charts. We stay the course. She said to trust the bond. Jax looked at her, really looked. The exhaustion in her eyes, the fear she carried, the strength that kept her standing. "Yeah," he said quietly, "maybe we should." Her hand found his again, and this time neither of them let go. The border colony was little more than a handful of domed structures clinging to a wind-swept plateau. Jax brought the freighter down in a canyon 2 kilometers out, hiding behind rocky terrain. "Captain Torvin lives in the eastern settlement," Aelira said. "Small compound. He lives alone." They made the approach on foot as the local sun set. The compound was modest, reinforced walls, sensor arrays, someone who valued security. "He knows we're here," Aelira murmured. The door opened. The man who emerged was old by Andari standards. His fur silvered, movements careful, but his eyes were sharp and the rifle in his hands was steady. Those eyes widened when they landed on Aelira. "Blessed stars," he whispered. "Little Lyra, you have your mother's face." "Captain Torvin," Aelira's voice caught. "I need your help." The old soldier's gaze shifted to Jax, taking in the bond. "You bonded with a human. Come inside quickly." The interior was sparse but comfortable. Torvin secured the door, then turned to face them. "I heard rumors of your exile," he said. "I did not believe them." "My mother is dead," Aelira said quietly, "and my father soon after, murdered by my brother and Lord Verosch Kane." Torvin's ears went flat. "Proof?" Aelira handed him the data chip. The old soldier slotted it into a reader, and his expression grew darker. When it finished, he removed the chip with shaking hands. "I served the Emperor for 40 years, he said. "What do you need from me?" "Get this to Matriarch Sarah. She has been compromised, but her fleet remains loyal. With this evidence, they can move against Davik." Torvin studied them both. "The bond is strong between you. I can see it." He looked at Jax. "Human, do you understand what you have tied yourself to?" "I'm learning," Jax said. Torvin's expression softened. "Your mother always said the bond would find you when you least expected it, that it would be true, not political." He moved to a weapons cabinet. "I will need 3 days to arrange secure transport for the chip. I know where to find Captain Rylar. He was loyal to your mother." 3 days, Aelira repeated. "Can we stay here?" "You can, but they will come looking eventually." "We'll be ready," Jax said. Torvin gave them a room with a single bed. As the door closed, the implications hung heavy. Aelira moved to the window, staring out at the darkening landscape. 3 days, she said. "If we survive this, they will come for us with everything they have." Jax came up behind her, close enough to feel her warmth. "Then we better make them count." She turned, and suddenly the distance between them felt like nothing. The bond hummed, no longer a warning but a constant presence. Familiar now, wanted. "Jax," she said softly, "I have dragged you across half the galaxy, bound you to a war that is not yours." He kissed her. The bond exploded between them, sensation cascading through both their nervous systems. He felt her surprise, her desire. She felt his need, his determination, the fierce protectiveness that had been building since the desert. Her hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer. His slid to her waist, feeling the lean strength of her. When they broke apart, both were breathing hard. "That," she whispered, "was unexpected." "Been thinking about it for 2 days." "Only 2 days?" Her lips curved. "I have been thinking about it since you flew us through that canyon." Jax laughed. "You like the way I fly?" "I like many things about you, Jax Corwin." Her hands moved up to frame his face. "Your honor, your courage, the way you look at me like I am not a princess, not a burden, but simply Aelira." "You are simply Aelira," he said. "Everything else is just noise." She kissed him this time, slower, deeper. The bond sang between them, and Jax felt the barriers they'd both been maintaining start to crumble. His hands traced the line of her spine, her tail wrapped around his leg. They moved to the bed in a tangle of reaching hands and shed clothing. Jax mapped the topology of her body, the sleek muscle, the soft copper fur at the base of her ears and tail. She explored him in turn, her touch curious and bold. "The bond," she gasped, "it makes everything—" "I know." He could feel it, the feedback loop of pleasure and sensation, every touch amplified. "Is it always like this?" "I have never," her words cut off, "I have never experienced the bond like this. It is overwhelming." "Good overwhelming." She pulled him down into another kiss, and he felt her answer through the bond. Very good. They made love slowly, learning each other, the bond making them exquisitely aware of every sensation. When they finally collapsed together, tangled in sheets, Jax felt something settle in his chest. Something right. Aelira traced patterns on his skin, her head resting against his shoulder. What happens after? She asked quietly. After we expose Davik and Verosch. You take your throne, you rule your empire. And you? Jax was quiet, considering. Guess that depends. Is there room in an empire for a human smuggler with a dishonorable discharge? There is room in my life for the man who offered me water when he had none to spare. She propped herself up on one elbow, for the man who flew into danger for me, who fights beside me. He reached up, tucked a strand of copper hair behind one elegant ear. Then I guess I'm not going anywhere. Good, she kissed him softly, because I am not letting you go. They dozed, the bond wrapping around them. Jax woke once in the night to find Aelira watching him. Cannot sleep, he murmured. I am memorizing this, she said, this moment, in case. No, he pulled her closer. We're going to survive this, both of us, together. You cannot promise that. Watch me. She smiled against his skin, and he felt her relax. They slept wrapped around each other, two hearts beating in perfect synchronization. The next 2 days passed in a strange bubble of calm. Torvin made his arrangements, reaching out through encrypted channels. Jax and Aelira trained together, and at night they learned each other in the language of touch and breath. On the third morning, Torvin found them in the courtyard. It is done, he said. Captain Rylar will meet my courier in 6 hours. The evidence will reach Sarah's fleet by tomorrow. Aelira's ears perked forward. Then we did it. We actually... The proximity alarm screamed. Ships dropping from hyperspace, Torvin barked, already moving toward the weapons locker. Multiple contacts, military grade. Through the window, Jax saw them, a full assault squadron descending on the colony. Davik, Aelira whispered. He found us, Jax finished. Torvin tossed them weapons, rifles, ammunition, grenades. There's a bunker beneath the compound, reinforced, stocked for a siege. Get there now. What about you? Aelira asked. The old soldier smiled, and Jax saw the warrior he must have been. I will buy you time, now go. The first energy bolt struck the compound as they ran. The bunker was a reinforced cube buried 3 meters underground. Jax sealed the hatch as explosions shook the compound above. Through the security feeds, they watched Torvin move with lethal efficiency, his rifle spitting energy at the advancing soldiers. He knows, Jax checked his weapon. He's buying us time, we don't waste it. The bunker had a secondary exit, a tunnel leading to the canyon where they'd hidden the ship, but between them and freedom was half a battalion of shock troops. We need a distraction, Jax said. Aelira pulled up the compound systems. The fuel depot, if we overload it remotely. Big enough, Boom. Big enough. Her fingers flew across the controls. On the screens above, Torvin took a hit, staggered, kept firing. Now, Jax said. Aelira triggered the overload. The fuel depot went up like a small sun. The shockwave flattened half the compound. In the chaos, Torvin fell. Aelira's hand found his squeezed hard. We go. They moved through the tunnel fast, the bond letting them coordinate without words. They emerged in the canyon to find 3 soldiers between them and the ship. The bond flared. Jax went left, Aelira right. They moved like they'd been fighting together for years. 2 soldiers down in seconds. The third got a shot off that burned across Jax's shoulder before Aelira put him down. You are hit, she said, pulling him toward the ship. I'm fine, move. They were up the ramp when the sky lit up with incoming ships. Jax threw himself into the pilot's seat. Rick, emergency start. Way ahead of you. The engines roared. Jax punched the throttle and they shot skyward, energy bolts chasing them. He jinked hard. They are right behind us, Aelira called from weapons. 6 fighters on their tail. Jax dove low, using the canyon walls for cover, then pulled up hard. Hyperdrive. 60 seconds, Rick replied. Aelira fired, her shots precise. 1 fighter exploded, another peeled off, trailing smoke. 45 seconds. A bolt punched through their rear shield. The ship bucked. 30 seconds. Jax pushed the freighter into a spiral, threading between two fighters. They collided. 2 down. 15 seconds. The remaining fighters opened up. The ship's shields screamed. Hyperdrive ready. Jax slammed the control. Stars stretched. Reality folded. They were gone. Aelira was out of her seat, pulling Jax up, her hands on his burned shoulder. "You are hurt. Just a graze." She had him in the medical bay, cleaning the burn with gentle touches. "Torvin," she said quietly, "he saved us. He died a warrior. That's what he would have wanted." "I know," her hands stilled, "but it does not hurt less." Jax caught her wrist, pulled her close. "We make it count. We make sure his sacrifice meant something." "Rick," Jax called, "where are we?" "Neutral space. I have been monitoring Andari military channels. Something is happening." "What kind of something?" "The kind where someone just broadcast your evidence on every major news network in the Empire." Aelira's head snapped up. "What?" "Captain Rylar received the data chip. He broadcast everything, the conspiracy, the murder, all of it. The Empire is in chaos." Aelira pulled up the comm feeds, hands shaking. The broadcasts were everywhere. Her father's assassination, Verosch's crimes, Davik's complicity, and calls for Princess Aelira Vaz Soltari to return to take her rightful throne. "They want me back," she whispered. "Not everyone," Rick said. "Davik's forces are mobilizing. This is going to be a war." "Then we end it," Jax said. "We go to the capital. We end this." Aelira looked at him. "Jax, this is my fight now. You have done enough." "Not a chance." "You could die." "So could you? We're bonded, remember? Where you go, I go." He cupped her face. "I'm not leaving you. Not now, not ever." She kissed him hard, desperate. "Then we finish this together. Rick, plot a course for the Andari homeworld. Fastest route." The journey took 3 days. 3 days of dodging patrols, hiding in asteroid fields. 3 days of stolen moments. Aelira falling asleep against his shoulder, Jax waking to find her watching him, the quiet certainty of the bond wrapping around them. On the 3rd day, the Andari homeworld appeared. And between them and the planet, a war. "We need to get planet-side," Aelira said. "To the palace. That is where Davik will be." "Then we do not fly through, we fly under." She pulled up a trajectory that made Jax's stomach drop. "That's atmospheric entry at combat speeds. The ship will burn up." "The ship will hold. You will make it hold." He looked at her, saw absolute certainty. "You're insane." "I learned from the best." She strapped in. "Whenever you are ready, Captain." Jax grinned. "Rick, reroute everything to forward shields." "This is a terrible idea." "Yeah, let's do it anyway." He dove. The freighter screamed toward the planet, accelerating past every safety limit. Fighters tried to intercept, but they were too slow. Jax pushed the ship past every rational boundary. They hit atmosphere like a meteor. The ship shook. Warning alarms screamed, metal groaned, but they held together, plunging through clouds straight toward the capital city. Jax pulled up at the last possible second. He set them down in the palace courtyard with a crash. The ramp dropped. Jax and Aelira emerged, weapons ready. The palace was a war zone. Sarah's loyalists fighting Davik's guards. They fought their way through, the bond making them devastating. They moved as one organism. They found Davik in the throne room. He stood before the imperial seat, Verosch at his side. Both wore armor. "Sister," Davik said, "you should have stayed dead." "You should have stayed loyal," Aelira replied. Verosch smiled, cold and sharp. "The human, did you really think a bond with an inferior species would save you?" Jax raised his rifle. "Why don't you find out?" "Jax," Aelira said, "Davik is mine." She stepped forward, and her brother drew his blade. They clashed in the center of the throne room, 2 Andari warriors moving with lethal grace. Jax kept his rifle trained on Verosch, who circled like a predator. "Your bond makes you weak," Verosch said. "Wrong," Jax replied. "It makes us stronger." He felt Aelira through the bond, her determination, her focus, felt the moment she needed him. He fired once, forcing Davik to dodge. Aelira struck in that opening, her blade finding flesh. Davik went down. Verosch lunged at Jax with inhuman speed, claws raked across his chest, deep. And Aelira screamed. Through the bond, she felt his pain as her own. It drove her forward with primal fury. She moved like lightning, like vengeance itself. Verosch tried to defend, but she was everywhere. Her blade found his throat. Verosch fell. Davik, bleeding and broken, tried to rise. "It is over, Brother Aelira said. Surrender." He looked at her, at Jax bleeding on the floor, at the loyalists pouring into the throne room. "Never." He lunged. Aelira's blade flashed. Davik fell and did not rise again. Aelira dropped to her knees beside Jax, her hands pressing against his wounds. "Stay with me," she commanded. "You do not get to die, not after everything." "Not planning on it," he managed. Medics rushed in. They stabilized him. Through the bond, he felt Aelira's relief, her fear, her fierce determination. Later, much later, he woke in a palace bedchamber. Aelira sat beside him, her hand in his. "You stayed," he said. "Where else would I be? You have an empire to run. The empire can wait, you are more important." Jax squeezed her hand. "So what happens now?" "Now?" she smiled. "Now I take the throne. I rebuild what they broke. I change the laws that exiled me." Her thumb traced across his knuckles. "And you stay by my side, as my bonded, as my consort, as my choice." An emperor consort who used to smuggle cargo. The emperor consort who offered water to a stranger when he had none to spare, who flew into hell for me, who fought beside me. She leaned down, kissed him softly. "Who I love." "I love you too," he said, "my princess of the stars." "Empress," she corrected with a smile. "My empress." Outside, the city celebrated. Inside, two people who'd found each other in the desert held tight to what they'd built. A bond that transcended species. A love that had saved an empire. And in the years that followed, when people spoke of the Empress Aelira and her human consort, they spoke of the day he offered her water. The day everything changed. The day the stars aligned,